President Oligui Nguema, I speak to you today not as an outsider, but as a brother who understands the weight of leadership in Africa. I know what it means to inherit a system designed to keep us dependent, to walk into power and find that the real chains are invisible. But I also know that leadership is not about accepting what has always been. It's about having the courage to break what has always been wrong. Gabon belongs to the Gabonese people. Not to Paris, not to foreign corporations, not to the networks that have whispered in the ears of African presidents for generations, telling them what they can and cannot do in their own countries. Your people have waited long enough. They have watched their oil leave their shores. They have seen their manganese enrich foreign industries while their own children lack schools and hospitals. They have been patient, Oligui, but patience without action becomes acceptance, and acceptance of exploitation is betrayal. I want you to understand something that took me time to fully grasp when I came to power in Burkina Faso. The uniform doesn't make you powerful. The presidential palace doesn't make you sovereign. What makes you powerful is the willingness to make decisions that serve your people, even when those decisions cost you something personally. Even when the phone calls come from capitals that have always decided Africa's fate. Even when the pressure mounts and the threats begin, that is when you discover whether you are a president or just a placeholder in someone else's system. They will tell you, Oligui, that it's complicated, that you cannot simply cut ties with certain partners, that the world doesn't work that way anymore, that you need to be pragmatic, realistic, careful. I have heard all of these words. Every African leader who ever considered true independence has heard these words, and I want you to know what these words really mean. They mean, stay in your place, accept your role, let us continue to extract your wealth while we give you just enough to maintain order. This is not partnership. This is a carefully maintained system of exploitation, and it has a name, Françafrique. Françafrique is not history, it is present. It is the reason why Gabon, one of the richest countries in natural resources on this continent, still has so many of its people living in poverty. It is the network of economic agreements, currency controls, military bases, and political influence that has kept French interests at the center of Gabonese decision-making for decades. And it will continue until a Gabonese leader has the strength to say, enough, my people come first. I am not telling you this to lecture you, Oligui. I am telling you this because Africa is watching what you do next. The young people across this continent are watching. They want to know if another African leader will choose sovereignty or if another African leader will choose comfort. Because let me be clear, choosing sovereignty is not comfortable. It means restructuring agreements that were designed to benefit others. It means taking control of your resources even when you're told you don't have the technical capacity. It means building that capacity instead of accepting permanent dependence. When I look at Gabon, I see a country that should be wealthy. You have oil, you have manganese, you have timber, you have fertile land, you have everything you need to build a prosperous nation. But having resources means nothing if you don't control them. If someone else sets the price, someone else extracts the value, someone else decides the terms, then you are just the landlord of your own exploitation. And your people suffer while the contracts are celebrated as cooperation. I made a decision in Burkina Faso. I decided that our gold would benefit Burkinabe people first. I decided that our resources would be used to build our infrastructure, our schools, our hospitals. I decided that we would partner with nations that respect our sovereignty, not nations that expect us to remain perpetually grateful for crumbs from our own table. And yes, there were consequences. There were pressures, there were threats, but my people are eating better. They are seeing development. They are feeling what sovereignty actually means in their daily lives. This is what I want for Gabon, Oligui, not because I have any authority over your country, but because I believe in what Africa can become when we stop accepting the limits others have placed on us. Your people deserve to benefit from their own oil. Every barrel that leaves Gabonese soil should strengthen Gabonese communities. Every ton of manganese should build Gabonese industries. Every cubic meter of timber should be processed by Gabonese workers. This is not radical. This is basic sovereignty. But sovereignty is not just economic, Oligui. It is political. It is the ability to make decisions without foreign approval. Right now, as I speak to you, there are networks trying to influence your government. Not through official channels, but through the informal systems that have always controlled African politics from the shadows. Former colonial administrators who maintained their contacts. Business interests that expect their investments to be protected regardless of what your people need. Security arrangements that place foreign strategic interests above your national security. These are the mechanisms of control, and they are real. I want you to ask yourself a question, and I want you to answer it honestly. When you make a major decision about Gabon's future, who are you thinking about first? Are you thinking about the Gabonese mother who cannot afford to send her children to school? Are you thinking about the Gabonese young man who cannot find work even though his country is rich in resources? Are you thinking about the Gabonese farmer who deserves infrastructure and support? Or are you thinking about maintaining relationships that keep you acceptable to powers that have never had your people's interests at heart? This is not an easy question, because the pressure to maintain those relationships is enormous. I know this, but I also know that history does not remember the leaders who made the easy choices. History remembers the leaders who had the courage to put their people first, even when it was difficult, even when it was costly, even when it meant standing alone. You don't have to stand alone, Oligui. This is what they want you to believe, that if you assert Gabonese sovereignty, you will be isolated. But look around Africa. Look at what is happening. There is a generation of leaders and citizens who are tired of the old system. We are building new partnerships. We are creating new alliances. The alliance of Sahel states that we have formed with Mali and Niger. This is about African nations supporting each other to achieve real independence. We are proving that sovereignty is possible. We are proving that Africa can manage its own affairs. I want Gabon to be part of this movement, not because I need Gabon, but because Africa needs every nation that chooses sovereignty over dependence. Every time an African country breaks free from exploitative systems, it makes it easier for the next country. Every time an African leader chooses his people over foreign approval, it creates space for other leaders to do the same. You have an opportunity, Oligui, to be part of Africa's real independence, not the independence that was declared in documents while the same systems of control remained in place. Let me speak very directly about what sovereignty means in practical terms. It means complete transparency about your resource contracts. The Gabonese people should know who is extracting their resources, under what terms, and where the money is going. If these contracts cannot withstand public scrutiny, then they are exploitative and should be renegotiated. It means national control of strategic industries. You cannot be sovereign if foreigners control your most important economic sectors. You must build Gabonese capacity to manage Gabonese resources. It means choosing partners based on who respects Gabonese interests, not based on historical relationships that were never designed to benefit you. It means investing resource wealth in your people. Every dollar that comes from Gabonese oil should be visible in Gabonese development. Schools, hospitals, roads, clean water, electricity, agricultural support, job creation. Your people should feel their sovereignty in their daily lives. If they don't, then sovereignty is just a word, not a reality. It means building strong, independent institutions. Your civil service, your courts, your security forces should answer to Gabon and Gabonese law, not to foreign interests or informal networks. This requires rooting out corruption, because corruption is how external influence maintains itself. Corrupt officials are the entry point for foreign control. Clean, capable, patriotic institutions are the foundation of real independence. It means African-centered diplomacy. Your closest allies should be African nations. Your economic partnerships should prioritize African integration before serving as an appendage to foreign economies. The African Continental Free Trade Area should mean more to Gabon than maintaining privileged access to former colonial powers. We are 1.4 billion people. We have everything we need. We should be trading with each other, building with each other, supporting each other. Oligui, your people are watching you. They know the difference between real change and performance. They have seen leaders before who spoke well but governed for others. They are waiting to see if you will be different. And I can tell you from experience, when you govern for your people, when you make decisions that genuinely improve their lives, their support becomes unshakable. But if you govern for foreign interests while asking your people to be patient, their patience will run out. I also want to speak to the Gabonese people directly. Your sovereignty is not just your president's responsibility, it is yours. You must demand transparency. You must demand that your resources benefit you. You must refuse to be divided by the ethnic and regional differences that foreign powers have always used to weaken African nations. Your unity is your strength. A united people cannot be controlled by external forces. A divided people will always be vulnerable to manipulation. Hold your leaders accountable, but also support them when they make difficult decisions for your sovereignty. Because those decisions will be criticized. There will be international pressure. There will be economic threats. There will be media campaigns designed to make sovereignty look dangerous or irresponsible. You must see through this. You must recognize that the same voices that never cared about your poverty will suddenly claim to care about your stability the moment you threaten their interests. The path of sovereignty is not easy, but it is the only path to genuine prosperity. Dependence, no matter how comfortable it appears, will never lead to development. It will only maintain the status quo where your resources enrich others while you remain poor. I rejected this path for Burkina Faso. I am asking you, Oligui, to reject this path for Gabon. Let me be clear about what I am not saying. I am not saying that Gabon should have no international partners. I am not saying you should isolate yourself. I am saying that your partnerships must be equal. They must respect your sovereignty. They must benefit your people. Any partnership that requires you to subordinate Gabonese interests is not a partnership. It is domination, with polite language. There are nations that will partner with you on equal terms. Russia has shown willingness to respect African sovereignty in ways that Western powers have not. China has invested in African infrastructure without demanding political control. Turkey, India, Gulf nations, there are options. But more importantly, there are African nations. We can trade with each other, we can invest in each other, we can build industries together. We don't need permission from Paris or Washington or London to develop Africa. The question, Oligui, is whether you believe this. Whether you believe that Gabon can stand on its own, whether you believe that African solutions to African challenges are possible, or whether you have internalized the message that has been repeated for so long, that Africa needs external guidance, that we cannot manage our own affairs, that we must accept our place in a global system designed without our input. I rejected that message. And because I rejected it, Burkina Faso is changing. We are not perfect. We face challenges. But we face them as a sovereign nation, making our own decisions, learning from our own mistakes, building our own future. And I can tell you, there is a dignity and sovereignty that no amount of foreign aid can replace. Your election, Oligui, gives you a mandate, but electoral legitimacy is not the same as historical legitimacy. Historical legitimacy comes from what you do with power. If you use this mandate to serve Gabonese people, to build Gabonese sovereignty, to create a better future for the next generation, then history will honor you. If you use this mandate to maintain systems that benefit others while your people remain poor, then history will judge you as another leader who had the opportunity and chose not to take it. I am speaking to you this way because I believe you still have a choice. I believe it is not too late for Gabon to change direction, but I also know that the window for decision is limited. Once you establish patterns of governance, once you make certain commitments, it becomes harder to change course. The networks of influence will embed themselves deeper. The compromises will multiply. The gap between what you promised and what you deliver will widen until your people lose faith entirely. This is why I am urging you to act now, not tomorrow, not after you consolidate power, not after you secure certain relationships, now. Because every day that passes under the old system is a day that reinforces that system. Every contract signed under exploitative terms is a contract that will constrain you for years. Every concession to foreign pressure is a precedent that will be used against you the next time you try to assert sovereignty. Africa is at a turning point, Oligui. We have been at turning points before, and we have failed to turn. We have had leaders who spoke of independence and practiced dependence. We have had moments of possibility that became moments of disappointment, but this time feels different. This time there is a generation that refuses to accept the old explanations. This time there are leaders across the continent who are actually choosing sovereignty despite the costs. You can be part of this movement, or you can watch it happen without you. You can help build an Africa that controls its own resources, makes its own decisions, charts its own course, or you can maintain Gabon's role in systems designed decades ago to extract African wealth for others' benefit. These are your choices, and they are real choices. But understand that choosing to maintain the status quo is still a choice, and it is a choice that history will record. I think about the young people in Gabon and across Africa. They are watching us. They are asking whether this generation of leaders will finally deliver the sovereignty that was promised when our nations gained independence. They are asking whether we will have the courage our predecessors lacked. They are asking whether Africa will continue to be the richest continent with the poorest people, or whether we will finally claim what is ours. What will you tell them, Oligui? What will you tell the Gabonese child who asks why their country is poor when they have oil? What will you tell the young Gabonese graduate who cannot find work in industries controlled by foreigners? What will you tell the Gabonese mother who watches her country's wealth leave while her family struggles? Will you tell them it's complicated? Will you tell them to be patient? Or will you tell them that you are fighting for their future, that you are restructuring the system, that their sovereignty is your priority? This is not just about economics or politics, Oligui. This is about dignity. It is about the dignity of the Gabonese people to benefit from their own resources. It is about the dignity of African nations to make their own decisions. It is about the dignity of our continent to finally, truly be independent after decades of formal independence that masked continued dependence. I will end by saying this. When I took power in Burkina Faso, I had to make a choice. I could follow the path that was expected, maintain the relationships that were comfortable, govern in ways that would keep external powers satisfied, or I could do something different. I could actually fight for Burkinabe sovereignty, even though I knew it would be difficult and dangerous. I chose sovereignty, and despite the challenges, despite the threats, despite the propaganda against me, I would make the same choice again because I have seen what it means to my people. Oligui, you have the same choice. The world is watching, Africa is watching, your people are watching, history is watching. And the question that will define your presidency is simple. Will you choose Gabon, or will you choose the comfort of maintaining systems that have never served Gabonese interests? I am Ibrahim Traoré, and I am choosing Africa. I am choosing sovereignty. I am choosing my people over every pressure, every threat, every comfortable compromise. I am asking you to make the same choice for Gabon, not for me, not for some abstract ideal, but for the Gabonese people who elected you believing you might be different. The time for decision is now. The time for courage is now. The time for sovereignty is now. Africa is watching. Oligui, make us proud. Make your people proud. Choose history over convenience. Choose sovereignty over dependence. Choose Gabon.